All right, y'all. Welcome back to the second episode and the first ever live stream of Total Speculation. To the nobody that is watching right now, feel free to jump into these comments and join the topics, join the discussion. You can definitely join the show at any point. But let's get into it, man. This is that one NFL show. I am that one NFL guy on that one NFL YouTube channel. And with me, we got my man, Knipe, our very own McLovin. You know what it is. One word, no spaces. And Knipe, man, your 49ers let down the entire world outside of Kansas City. You guys are losers just like the rest of us. Another victim of the baby goat. Yes, I said it, the baby goat, y'all. There's no other way to put it. This man is fucking unbelievable. Knipe, let me go ahead and start this off with getting your Super Bowl reaction, my friend. How does it feel to be the first loser of the NFL this year?
Yeah, man. So as a diehard fan, it's painful, dude. It sucks. We didn't play like champions, and regardless, there's ticky-tack shit, and to me, in every single game that happens in the NFL for the most part. Yes, there were some things that I didn't like. However, we just didn't play like champions, dude. You have to go out there and play clean football. We had just too many weird things go on. And yeah, it's painful. I actually made a joke to one of my buddies at work today. I said, this means second forever, because that's what it feels like. Because ever since I've been watching, I've only seen them, get this close each time. So I'm kind of tired of that part. It's no fun. But yeah, we've lost to Patrick freaking Mahomes the last 2 times in the last 4 years. And I mean, how mad can you be? Like you said, the guy, I don't like him, obviously, but I respect the talent. He's ridiculously amazing on the field. So congrats, Patrick. You got another one, brother. I'm curious to see if you get to 10.
Yeah, he is pretty unbelievable. It's pretty freaking annoying, if I'm being honest with you. It's just like another Brady stepping in there. And it just feels like at this point, he's just going to be there year after year after year. I really thought you guys were going to do it, man. I thought he was going to run into some trouble, but he didn't. But let's get into just the one thing about the game that I just want to get your opinion on. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy, a lot of people getting on Kyle Shanahan's case over wanting the ball to start in overtime. What did you think about the decision? Obviously, with the new playoff format or the new playoff overtime rules, both teams get one possession. Chiefs basically said, look, if we wanted them to get the ball first and we were going for 2 if they scored a touchdown. So what are your thoughts on the decision to take the ball first?
Yeah, obviously, hindsight 2020, but yeah, you're probably gonna. More times than not, you're almost for sure gonna take it second, right? Most of us are like that. Obviously, that's the thought process, because like you get to see what you have to match, and you know what you have to do, and the situation better. However, I never I don't really like that. I don't know. You still have to execute, man. Like we still have to get a touchdown there. It doesn't okay, yeah, we took the ball second. So regardless, whether you have to score a touchdown first or second, if you want to be a champion, you got to play like a champion for 4 quarters or more if you need to. And we got a field goal out of that drive, and we had a rough holding call on that sub play for Kittle. Of course, the very drive that Kittle gets hurt. His backup is the one that jacks us up on the call. I'm like, dude, bro, you were in there for a snap, my guy, and you couldn't not hold the guy. You had to just yoink on him. So that was upsetting, and yeah, yeah, whatever, man. Brutal.
Yeah. Honestly, looking back on it now, I agree that it probably was the wrong decision. At the time, I really didn't think about it that way. I actually thought that they would want the ball first because they score, Chiefs score, then you get the ball back, and if you score, you win. But one thing I really didn't consider is yeah, they're probably going for 2 if you do score, because then it's just going to come down to this 2-point play, which definitely does make sense. Honestly, I wasn't so upset with the decision to go for it. More so the decision to kick a field goal against Patrick Mahomes. I don't give a shit if it's 4th and 4. Bro, I'm going for it, because there's no way that I'm giving Mahomes this ball. I understand the defense played pretty well, But if you look at the fourth quarter, that's when they scored all their points. So they were most of their points. I don't want to say all their points, but most of their points, they were scoring. Like when they got the ball, I mean, you guys obviously had the turnover from that one punt. But other than that, I mean, they were moving the ball on you guys. And I just felt like that's a must-score situation with knowing that Pat Mahomes is getting the ball back. Unless it's like 4th and 6 or 4th and 7 or deeper, like 4th and 5 and under, I'm probably going for it because like we are punching this in the end zone, like no other options here. So I felt like that really was what burned the 49ers the most because you just kind of got to know that. But this is an NFL offseason show. That is it. That was the last freaking game. So I've already gotten over my little sad few days where I'm just like bummed out because I know it's done. But obviously with the NFL, drama starts immediately following the Super Bowl. And it starts with the 49ers, okay? Steve Wilks out as DC following the Super Bowl. A lot of people have been saying, listen, this isn't fair. This guy, he did a good job against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And Kyle Shanahan making these mistakes, not running the ball enough when you're up 10 points again. Listen, people are saying that Kyle Shanahan is one of the biggest chokers. Was Steve Wilks a scapegoat in this situation?
I mean, no, because I think either way, I was okay. Like I called Steve Wilks probably not being here like halfway through the season because of the way our defense is playing. Like, I'm sorry, but if you give most DCs my talented defense, like, dude, you should like just like D'Amico Ryans and why did I just forget his name? Holy crap.
Saleh.
Yeah, Saleh. I love that dude. I don't know why I forgot his name. But yeah, Ryans and Saleh, like those dudes, like kept my defense at a top 3 like pace, like just like the entire year. You know what I mean? Like, and you can't even deny that. Like the previous 2 years, like when it was those 2 defensive coordinators, my guys were on point. Like they did their jobs, and they're like I don't know, just like there's a different vibe and feeling. Like and they got to the passer better. And then when Wilks came in, it just seemed like everybody softened up. Like there was no accountability. So I'm totally fine with Wilks being gone. And you remember, like even mid-season, we had him come down from the booth onto the field. Like, dog, you gotta be told that. You gotta be told to be on the sideline with your boys. Like, nah, dude. Like, I don't like that. That's not a good look to me. Like, get down. If you're losing, if you're giving up a lot of points, get down there with your guys and get in the shit with them because that's what they respect. You know what I mean? And Saleh and Ryans were always on the sideline with my boys rooting them on. So like, I don't mind the Wilks firing. I think it's fine. It has not. To me, the Super Bowl is the best he got out of them. So I mean, you can't say it was because of the Super Bowl. But I mean, yeah, I'm good. Give me Vrabel if he'll take a DC job.
Yeah, new open DC job. This is obviously the best for last, right? Pretty much everything else is taken up, so there's only one job left. It's going to be the hottest job on the market. I'm with you. The Wilks firing obviously wasn't because of the Super Bowl. That's the thing I feel like everybody's ignoring. Like, yes, they did good in the Super Bowl, but I mean, it seemed like there was a chance he was getting fired even if they won the Super Bowl because it just didn't seem like it clicked with him there. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously the week before there's questions about effort. I mean, that falls on coaching. That to me, that falls directly on coaching because if you see a guy out there half-assing it in practice, you're supposed to be on their ass. So they should already know that game day comes, you better be on it. I mean, obviously the 49ers defense was good this year. They have a really good defense. Look at their defensive line, man. You guys got Eric Armstead. Okay, you went and got Javon Hargrave. You have Nick Bosa. Of course you're going to be good. You got Fred Warner and Greenlaw in the middle. Of course you're going to be good. We're not expecting top 10. We're expecting top 3. So when you're like top 10 in most categories and not top 5 in most categories, then yeah, it's going to come into question. And honestly, from what I read, it sounds like Steve Wilks didn't really get to bring his own staff when he came to the 49ers, and he kind of just took over the job with the staff that was there. And those types of situations tend to not work out. I mean, you tend to need to want to work with the people that are under you. And normally you let the defensive coordinator pick their own staff. So we'll see what happens. I actually kind of like an internal hire for that position just because obviously you guys have had great success with doing that with D'Amico Ryans and Saleh. So, I mean, obviously there's some big names out there like Vrabel and Bill Belichick and people like that. But actually, since we're talking about it, Brandon Staley has been linked to the 49ers defensive coordinator position. And I'm just like, Honestly, you know what I feel like tells it all with Staley? He came from the Rams as a defensive coordinator. The defensive coordinator position in LA for the Rams was open, and Sean McVay did not give him the job. He said, you know what? I'm going to have to hire somebody else because this guy is just a complete idiot. Obviously, I'm joking there. He didn't say he was an idiot. But that's how I feel about the situation. I mean, that was literally your job before you were a head coach. You become available. You and McVay should be boys, right? I mean, he should like you a lot. You guys have worked together in the past. It's obviously a win-win type of situation. But no, he didn't bring you back. So that makes me feel like no matter where he goes, it's not going to work out. I think you guys should definitely just pick somebody else, literally anybody else. But let's talk about one more coach over here for the 49ers. Okay, Kyle Shanahan also taking some heat because obviously he has the multiple blown games in the Super Bowl as not just a head coach, but also an offensive coordinator, okay? Some people are saying that this guy, he can't win the big game. Could I just give me 1 out of 10, your confidence level in Kyle Shanahan's ability to win the Super Bowl and really just take it home in the big game?
I mean, I don't have a problem with Kyle. I don't have a problem with Kyle whatsoever. I love my coach, so a 10. I mean, I don't waver in confidence in Kyle. Like, it's not like, dude, it's so annoying because like there's so many little things went wrong. You know, like that. I'm sorry, but that punt, like this much cost us. Do you know how much that cost us? That was a touchdown. That was the game. You know how much this cost us on an extra point? That was the game. So it's like, dude, at some point the players have to play also. You know what I mean? And like we lost to freaking Mahomes. Like this guy's a freaking absolute freak stud, whatever the heck you want to call him, whatever adjective. Even though he's a big ass crybaby, he's still like on the field. He's the shit, dude. Like he just like it's like you felt it. Like I knew it as soon as we stopped scoring touchdowns. Like after the Christian McCaffrey touchdown and like that little while of not, like us not answering and like still giving them time and like we could have put it away but we just didn't. You can't give. That's just like with Tom Brady, man. Like I mean, and so for Kyle, I mean, you're losing to literally like, dude, the two best quarterbacks of all time for the base. I mean, you can call it Brady and Mahomes right now, and you know we're all talking about like it could eventually be Mahomes and then Brady just because he's that special. And that's kind of insane, dude. 7 rings, and this guy might pass that shit. Fuck off. Like, what? How is that possible? Like, dude, when did you ever think Tom Brady would even get sniffed? Like, do you think do you think Patrick gets to 5? Because it seems like he's going to get to 10, and it's ridiculous. Like, this guy scares me, and it makes me feel like if I don't have a Patrick Mahomes-esque quarterback, like they're saying Caleb Williams is supposed to be, then my team doesn't have a shot no matter how many good players they have. Because look how stacked we are, bro. You see how stacked my team is? It's disgusting. We have a fucking all-star team, and we still get beat by Patrick Mahomes, one offensive guy, and a bunch of fucking nobodies. Like, dude, what?
Hey, those nobodies came to play, man. They really did. They stepped up.
I understand that. I understand that, but you know what I mean. Like they were quiet most of the year, except for Rashid Rice. Sorry, Rashid Rice was sweet. But he also took a little bit to get going because they were limiting his snaps and whatever. But like, yeah, dude,
You also look at the meltdowns that happened during the Super Bowl. Like Travis Kelce screaming at his head coach.
Yeah.
Rice and Mahomes are getting into it on the sidelines over. I guess thought he was open. Well, he was open if you look at the play. But regardless, like other teams, those are the types of things that make them collapse. But Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, they just overcome. And listen, I'm kind of with you with the Shanahan debate. Somebody made a really good comparison. Like Kyle Shanahan is pretty much in the position that Andy Reid was in like 20 years ago when he was the Eagles head coach, because he had made it to like between like 4 years of like 6 years. It was like the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl, and he lost all of them. So I believe in Kyle. I mean, I don't think that this is going to hinder his ability moving forward. I think that if anything, he's just going to get more and more comfortable in these games, and he's going to win one. I mean, I really believe that. If Mahomes doesn't win them all, of course, because Jesus, the Chiefs, they just seem to pick the defense, just killed it in the first 3 quarters. I felt like both teams' defenses really took over. But we're going to move on from the coaching side of it, and let's just talk about one last topic when it comes to the 49ers. There has been some Brandon Ayuk drama. Okay, let's actually just go ahead and pull this up first. This his girlfriend and a close friend of his, implying that he might not be with the 49ers next year. Now, the 49ers have picked up his 5th-year option. So regardless, they do have team control. But obviously, we've seen this is a new NFL. I mean, people, if they want to get out, they get out. So just to speculate, all right, with Brandon Ayuk, if him and the 49ers can't work it out, all right, and it's listen, I want to get paid today or get me the hell out of here. Can him or Debo, man? I mean, which one? If you got to get rid of Debo to pay Ayuk, are you doing that or are you keeping Debo and booting Ayuk?
Well, I'm assuming you're meaning that if we lose Debo, then we lose the entire contract then, yeah?
Yeah, you're trading him away.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're not responsible financially whatsoever.
I mean, you'll probably have some dead money. I mean, I'll look up what his dead money is. Obviously, I don't really like to get into that portion of it just because, like, the way that these trades go, I mean, sometimes the other team will pick up more of the contract and sometimes they don't. So let's just.
I mean, if we're just going player for player, I'll take the younger guy. But you can honestly flip a coin because I love both these guys. They both do different things, obviously, on our offense. But truthfully, I mean, I would rather trade him if we had to and keep Debo just because, dude, Debo's like, I mean, I love Brandon Ayuk. Don't get me wrong. I think Brandon Ayuk is awesome. That dude is like, he's a freaking stud, man. Like, I don't want him to go and I don't think he'll go. This is just like, you're putting me in a spot of like this guy or that guy on my team and it's difficult. But I would take Debo even though he is older, but a tone setter, like a guy who is a 49er, you know what I mean? Like Ayuk, he does have some dog to him. But I guess you just, I don't know. Debo's Debo, bro. Like
Debo's more dangerous. I agree with that. Debo is just like he gets the ball and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, well, I think of replacement in a draft. You know what I mean? Like who's easier to replace? To me, that's Brandon Ayuk. And Kyle might feel that way, but I highly doubt it. Because dude, Kyle looked at Brandon for a while to be his first round pick, and like that's who he was like super stoked that he was there. I remember watching like the behind the scenes or like the draft forum or whatever. But I think he'll get paid, and I think we'll be fine. I think honestly, I think what's going to end up happening is how much on a bet Purdy loses another Super Bowl to him, and that wouldn't surprise me. I think maybe not next year, but the year after that. I bet he'll lose another one, and then that'll be the end of Purdy's contract. So that'll be like, oh, if Purdy can win it, then he'll get a contract, but if he can't, then we'll draft somebody, and then we're just gonna have to hopefully draft a beast. And I think the world's gonna hate us for what's in it. I bet we don't pay Purdy, dude. I bet you anything. Even though I like Purdy, and I think that he was not like.
You don't think you're gonna pay Purdy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Well, you can't pay him this year because he has a. You know what's interesting is if he would have been an undrafted free agent, he could get a contract this offseason. But because he got drafted with the last pick, he has to wait one more year before he could sign a new deal. So at the very least, you guys do have that. And it does look like pretty much you're going to keep Debo at least for this year. So even if you do that swap, just looking at the dead number, it probably would be next offseason. But you never know, man. I mean, honestly, that report came out, and I mean, it's really it's too early. Like, people change their mind all the time because, I mean, Debo was beefing with the 49ers for a little bit, and that contract still got done. So I think that there's a chance that you guys get to keep both of them moving forward, and maybe you drop like somebody else. I don't know. We'll see. But we're going to move away from the 49ers here. We are going straight into the offseason now. So we are going to hit the dead zone after this episode. It is going to be rough. We are going to be pulling the skinniest of storylines, the most speculative situations for franchise tags, cuts, and all of the above. But let's slide over to the NFL honors and Hall of Fame snubs for this year. I want to first touch on my guy, Freddie T. It's freaking unbelievable that we keep overlooking this guy. And look, the thing that kills Freddie T is the lack of Pro Bowls, the lack of all pros. If you look at the numbers, just straight rushing numbers, TDs are a little mid, but the rushing numbers, overall production over his time, they leave this. And you know what else is just freaking annoying? They leave this tag on his name on Pro Football Reference as Fragile Fred as his nickname, which is so bullshit, dude. He had a few years where he got hurt. It was for a running back. There's really not that many. There have been way more guys that get hurt stepping on the field than Fred Taylor. Okay, man played over 10 years of football. But just let me ask you this question. Can I? When you think of Marshawn Lynch, in your head, is he a no doubt Hall of Famer?
Yeah, Marshawn to me. I mean, you could argue that he can make it like maybe the second ballot, but I think he could be a first balloter type of dude. Yeah.
Wow, that's real interesting that you say that because if I pull up these freaking stats right here, it makes no sense that Freddie T isn't in the Hall of Fame. Look at this. His numbers are better than Marshawn Lynch's. And if you ask people if Marshawn Lynch is a Hall of Famer, 10 out of 10 are going to say yes. And Marshawn Lynch has Pro Bowls. He has all pros. But when you look at the longevity, the year-over-year production, the year-over-year consistency, it makes absolutely no sense that Freddie T is not in the Hall of Fame. Look at these numbers, man. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to move on. Obviously, I'm biased. This is just stupid to me. It's just dumb.
Now, do you remember our last episode, man? I said the same thing. I thought Fred was almost a guarantee this year. Like I really, I thought he was getting in.
It's not you. It's not you, brother. It's these freaking writers, okay? These writers that do not give a shit about the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's point blank the only thing it could be, okay? And that's another reason he doesn't have more Pro Bowls is because guess what? Back then, it was all fan voting. So, yeah, these idiots did not care about the Jacksonville Jaguars, okay? And just a couple more that I want to talk about. Now, this one, you tell me who's the snub, if it's justified here, all right? Defensive Rookie of the Year, obviously, went to Will Anderson, okay? Here's Will Anderson's stats at the top here. But if you look at the bottom, okay, those stats right there, that's Kobe Turner of the LA Rams, all right? Kobe Turner plays nose tackle. He finished with more tackles, more sacks, a little bit less QB hits, but again, and just 2 less tackle for losses. Again, he's playing the nose tackle position, okay? Nose tackles even sometimes get subbed out in a lot of situations. So just to me, I'm not saying Will Anderson didn't deserve it. He had a good year, but hey, I mean, sometimes name recognition just seems to push you over the top in this league, okay? And then the one that I just cannot stand, the one that just really irks my nerves, okay? Myles Garrett for Defensive Player of the Year. I'm sorry. Like, listen, the man had a phenomenal year. The man is a phenomenal player year over year. But when you talk about Defensive Player of the Year, you should be talking about the best defensive player this year. And to me, it's a no-brainer. Deron Bland got snubbed here. Yeah. My man had 9 interceptions in his second year. Freaking 9, okay? 5 returned for touchdowns. Do you understand how hard that is to do? This man will never come close to touching those stats again. And they left him on the sidelines for this award. It just doesn't make any sense to me. 5 touchdowns, man. I feel like what else is there to say about this? I mean, come on.
Yeah, dude. No, I agree. I feel like it was so special that, dude, you could have honestly talked to me and be like, hey, everyone did so bad this year at QB. Deron Bland for MVP. Like, fucking dude. Like, dude, that would have been cool as shit. Like, you know how sick that would have been for that kid? Like, and like, just the NFL is like, they're so predictable, dude. Like, that's why I don't really.
Quarterback-driven league.
Huh?
Quarterback-driven league.
It's not like that, dude. It was just like, dude, like you had a chance to change, like I don't know, just make history awesome. Imagine giving like voting or whatever, you know, if you're like, how do they even decide MVP? Is it really just the writers?
Yeah, it's like writers and people that are really close to the game. They get the votes on it. I will say all of those votes, and this is the part that also makes no sense to me. Like all of those votes happen before the postseason goes on. So like they already basically have the results and everything before postseason's even played. Obviously, Deron Bland had that terrible game and the playoff loss for the Cowboys, and he got torched like the whole game. The votes were done before that. So you're not even including anything from the postseason. So just freaking ridiculous. Just makes no sense. To me, that one's like, oh my God, you scared the shit out of me. Freaking Avery, man. No. It's fine. I forgot what I was saying. I'm sorry.
All right.
But
Deron Bland is amazing. We're just going to say that on this channel. We're going to stand behind Deron. Even though French is an annoying-ass Cowboys fan, I can't stand complimenting a Cowboy just because their fans are obnoxious as crap. Deron Bland had the season to remember as a defender in general, but as a DB, oh my lord, like that his tape is going to be played for so long on how to play that position, like just because of the season. But man, like what a special season for him. I wish he had way more recognition than he does to not only not get MVP, because I'm sorry, but you could have talked me into that. But to not get Defensive Player of the Year, yeah, that's pretty brutal for him. And like dude. I'd be pissed, bro. Like
I'd be pissed too.
So loud. I would be so loud about it because like I saw TJ Watt like had like this thing like, oh, I got snubbed. Like, yeah, but like even if you got picked, like it would have been wrong, bro. Like what like
exactly.
Like that's I mean, yeah, you did actually. I mean, he's right though. He did have a better year than Myles Garrett. So like sick, dude. You got second place. That's awesome, but you still should have got second place. You like Myles Garrett should have been third.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, him between Garrett and Watt, I feel like it's close, but I agree. Like, I mean, Deron Bland's the clear snub here, and there's just no other argument around it, in my opinion. But we can move on from NFL honors. I just want to touch on a few more things before we get out of here. Mike McDonald, the Seahawks' new head coach, first hire, or not first hire, but offensive coordinator hire is Ryan Grubb from Washington. He was the OC over there. Obviously, Washington made it to the championship game. Their head coach leaves for Alabama. I find this hire interesting because the Seahawks have Geno Smith, who they've already informed Geno Smith he's going to be on the roster for 2024. They picked up his, I believe it was another $12.5 million guaranteed on tomorrow, actually. And they went ahead and let him $12.7 million guaranteed. It goes from injury guaranteed to fully guaranteed tomorrow. So that basically locks him in on the roster. But what I think is interesting about this hire is the Seahawks, they're obviously going to be picking like mid picks for the draft. And I kind of see the quarterback from Washington, Penix, as a potential target over there. So I just think that's something to monitor. Obviously, Geno Smith, he didn't have as good of a 2023 as he did in 2022. I think he's definitely going to be the starter next year, but I think Penix is a guy that they could potentially draft and sit behind him and learn from Geno for a year before he takes over. I don't know. We'll see. It's something to monitor, but I just felt like it was worth mentioning here because I want to get into the quarterbacks on this episode, okay? Because there's going to be a little bit of a quarterback carousel more than likely going on this offseason, and it's going to really start with the Chicago Bears, okay? And there have been a lot of speculators about who's going to be a trade suitor for Justin Fields. So I actually wrote down a list of names that I think either they need a quarterback, their quarterback's about to be a free agent, or I just think that Justin Fields is better than their quarterback. So let's try to rank these teams. All right, I'm just going to mention them first. We got the Steelers, Falcons, Broncos, Patriots, Vikings, Bucks, and Saints. We'll start with the Steelers. Knight, do you think this is a potential landing spot for Justin Fields, and where would you put it on the pecking order?
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, it looks like. Well, first of all, yes, I think that they're definitely an option for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I'll give it I'll say they're like my third landing spot because Steelers just don't seem to do that. You know what I mean? Like teams just like franchises like kind of follow paths and like kind of who's more ballsy usually. You know what I mean? Like as far as acquisitions and free agents and all that. And Steelers just don't strike me as that team that's going to do that. I guess but I mean maybe just because they missed on Kenny Pickett, they feel like getting a veteran might help. But I don't know. I don't think they'll actually end up going there. I think there is mutual interest, but I don't think that'll be the actual ultimate destination.
Gotcha. I actually think that this is actually number one. I'm actually putting the Steelers at the top. I know I agree with you. This isn't what the Steelers normally do, but I think when you look at the past few years and the lack of success that the Steelers have had, obviously they've made it to the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years. But nobody takes them seriously. Nobody thinks they're an actual contender in the playoffs. And listen, they ended up letting Mason Rudolph be the starting quarterback for the playoffs. Okay. I understand Mason looked better than the other quarterbacks this year. He definitely did. I would agree with that. But also, is that who you want playing for you? And listen, the Steelers can say they believe in Kenny Pickett. We've seen what we've seen from Kenny Pickett. I think that we all know that Kenny Pickett is not going to be the Steelers franchise quarterback. That's just my opinion on the matter. And there have been reports coming out that say Tomlin actually really liked Justin Fields. I think that they're going to get aggressive for this trade market. And I think Justin Fields is going to have a big trade market. Like I think multiple teams are going to end up pushing that price up. Obviously, there's speculation it's going to be a second round pick. I think it's going to be more. I think it's going to be at the minimum a second and a third. But I think that somebody's going to go up and give their first round pick to the Bears for Justin Fields if they end up trading him, which it looks like they will. I'm putting the Steelers at 1. Let's jump over to the Falcons. I think that obviously we're both going to say that this team is a suitor for Justin Fields. I mean, their quarterback situation is horrible, okay? But they're still not really close enough to the top of the draft where you're really expecting them to be able to pick one of those top quarterbacks, because I think really the ones that people are eyeing would be Caleb Williams, obviously, Drake May, and then Jaden Daniels. And then I think that there could be a lot of interest for JJ McCarthy. I believe that's his name, the guy from Michigan.
Yeah,
that's his name. Okay, yeah. I think he's somebody that might climb up draft boards that you wouldn't expect. But I mean, for me, the Falcons, I think they're number 2. So where are you putting the Falcons at?
Yeah, so I was debating. So I flipped 1 and 2, I guess, in my head. I've just gone back and forth because to me, the top 2 teams are either the Patriots or the Falcons. And I think the Bears want it to be the Patriots because I think they want that number 3 pick. Like, I think the plan right now, if I'm the GM, is give me, or I'll give you Justin Fields, give me that 3 pick, and also give you number 9. Justin Fields in the 9. That's that's a pretty fair package. You know what I mean? And then I think that they pair Caleb Williams with Marvin Harrison Jr. That's to me what a good GM would do. That's to me what the Bears should do. But yeah, then I guess second. So I'd probably put Patriots first and then Atlanta second. So yeah, I think Atlanta because I could see Atlanta doing that. You know what I mean? Like I could see them grabbing because like they grabbed Heineke last year and like that was kind of, I don't know. I feel like they are the team to make a move. I don't know why. I just feel it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes a lot of sense. He's from Atlanta. Atlanta was interested in him with the 4th overall pick, but they ended up going with Kyle Pitts that year. And listen, the quarterback position, I mean, they've got decent weapons over there. So if they could get Justin Fields, a talent like Justin Fields, I think it would make a lot of sense. Let's slide over to the Broncos because I think the Broncos are a team. Obviously, we're going to get into the Russ situation next, actually, but right now, obviously, they're looking at their options, okay? So if you're asking me, do I think the Broncos are interested in Justin Fields? Hell yeah, I think they're interested in Justin Fields. The problem is the Broncos traded everything to get Russell Wilson, okay? And it was a terrible trade, and that's what's got them in this situation in the first place, okay? And I don't think that they got enough to get Justin Fields at this point. I think, like I said, I think the price is going to get driven up, and I don't even think the Broncos are going to have a chance. So I'm actually going to slide them back to, let's see here. I'll put those two there. I'm going to say 5th. Let's go 5th. What you got for me for the Broncos and their odds on Justin Fields?
I don't know. I don't know how many other teams you named, but you named a lot.
You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I basically picked anybody that's quarterback's going to be a free agent. Their quarterback position sucks, or Justin Fields is just better than the guy they got.
Yeah, they're 6 or 7 to me, dog. Like I can't buy them as just without Russell stuff going on and like just the amount of money. Fields is in a contract year coming up. Like whatever team he goes to is going to have to probably sign him. You know what I mean? Like if he gets traded to, I'm sure he's going to have to either that or I'm pretty sure
they'll have to make the decision on the 5th-year option.
Okay, well, I mean, either way, like if he has a halfway decent year, that team's going to pay him, and they're going to know that they have to pay him if he has a good year. You know what I mean? So like, there's just too much capital that's devoted to the quarterback position in Denver for me to trust they're going to do anything besides something cheap, and Fields won't end up being cheap. You know.
I hear you. All right, well, we'll slide over Patriots. I'm gonna do these ones fast. I don't think these ones are really that. Well, you think Patriots are really high up there. I actually don't think that they're that high up there. Honestly, I don't know what to think with the Patriots though, because we haven't seen them under Gerard Mayo, who's going to be making these types of decisions, or at least a big voice in those types of decisions. So we'll kind of see with that. But I really think that they're going to go and draft a quarterback. To be honest with you, I feel like that's more of their move. But I could be wrong. But I just think with them being at pick 3. They're going to have a chance to get either the second quarterback off the board or the third, both of which would be good options for them. And then the Vikings, Bucks. I'm including them because both of their quarterbacks are free agents. I don't think either of these teams even go after Justin Fields because I think that the Vikings sign a deal with Kirk Cousins, specifically also because Justin Jefferson wants him there. And Justin Jefferson is being very picky about his contract, which we'll get into next episode with that. We're going to stick with the quarterbacks here, but I think that's unlikely. And then the Bucks with Baker Mayfield making the playoffs last year. And I thought, by the way, I thought he had a really good case for comeback player of the year. Ends up being Joe Flacco, which also makes a lot of sense. But I think with the year that Mayfield's coming off of, I think the Bucks are straight up just negotiating with Mayfield. I don't think there's anybody else in there. And then the Saints, with the Saints, I just feel like Derek Carr is just so subpar for them. I mean, like it's last year that he played, the last 2 years he played, he's been really average to mediocre. And last year I thought he was very mediocre. The only reason I also put this as unlikely is because I just believe that the Saints are being run by idiots right now because they just don't seem to care about who their head coach is. Dennis Allen just keeps getting these year-over-year goes, and nobody really seems too concerned about it. So, and he's boys with Derek Carr. They just gave him a big deal. So I think they end up sticking with him just because they're not aggressive at all. And they just seem to be very content on just being a middle of the pack team. So that's what I'll give for my Justin Fields odds. Any of those teams you want to comment on, chances for Justin Fields that you feel differently?
Yeah, definitely the Patriots, obviously. And I'm just going to say that I think that I only see them doing it because, I see one of two things. I see either Fields or Daniels being the Patriots quarterback next year. And I just feel like Gerard Mayo could want to make like a splash move, you know what I mean? Or like, like, hey, let me get my guy. Like, I believe in this dude. Like, maybe he really likes Justin Fields. Like, we have no idea. And maybe he really likes Jaden Daniels or Drake May or whoever the hell. But to me, it's either Jaden Daniels or because I think the draft is going to for sure go Caleb Williams, and then Drake May to the
I don't know
Commanders, and then I think I can see the Patriots going Jaden Daniels. This is obviously assuming no trades, but like the Patriots going Jaden Daniels, and then Cardinals going Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a strong chance for that, but I think we'll have to get to the combine. I think Jaden Daniels and Drake May are a lot closer than people think because I know Jaden Daniels kind of came out of nowhere, but his draft stock has gone up a lot, and I just think we'll see what happens when combine time comes. But sticking with the quarterbacks here, Russell Wilson, okay? Obviously, there's been a lot of drama with him and Sean Payton, basically since Sean Payton has gotten there, okay? Sean got there. He said, Russ, you do not get your own office anymore. Get all your shit out of here and put it in your freaking locker like everybody else, okay? And then, obviously, Russell Wilson has a bounce-back year of some sorts. I mean, obviously, the Broncos weren't really in the playoffs, and he ends up getting benched because of his contract. But when you look at the actual play of Russell Wilson, he wasn't playing terrible like he was the year before. But Sean Payton just always digging in his ass. I mean, there's, like, videos of him right on – what, did you just spill something?
No, sorry, my dog is just –
Oh, I thought you spilled something. Your face looked like it was like some cold on you or something.
No, just freaking bugging me, of course. Sorry.
But no, that's all good. But with Russ, man, I just think after everything that's happened between him and Sean Payton, I basically the question is what percentage of chance is there that Russ ends up on the Broncos next year? I'm putting it at 0. I think there is no chance. Listen, if you benched me, I'm probably going to ask you to leave, okay? And I think out of all those teams that we talked about for potential Justin Fields suitors, Russ is going to be that consolation prize because Russ isn't going to cost anything. It's going to be like, all right, if you give us a freaking 6th-round pick, man, I mean, we'll give them to you, okay? And I think it ends up being something like that where he's traded for pennies on the dollar. And it might end up working out with him in a different team, but I just think there is no way that this works in Denver at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to give it a 0. Like,
I'm doing 0.
No, I don't think it's 0. My speculation is I think we're sitting at a realistic, like 40%. Like, it's definitely under half, but like there is at least like there's a chance. Yeah, dude.
40, yeah. Bro. They benched him for Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah, but dude, Russ needs that. Okay, you got to remember, like.
I don't know. I think there is no chance,
wild, bro.
And you know what? And one other team I want to throw out there, I did not put him or I did not put them on the list for Justin Fields simply because this one, there's probably somebody out there that's like, what about the Raiders? The Raiders don't make sense for Justin Fields because they just hired Luke Getsy, who what are we doing here? If we get Luke Getsy and Justin Fields, this didn't work for like the last 3 years, but you're going to try it again. That's just insanity. But I think with Russell Wilson, I think that the Broncos, I don't think that they would want to trade him to the Raiders, but I think that they could get so desperate trying to find somebody that will take him and actually give them something back that there's a chance that it could end up being the Raiders there. So I just wanted to throw that team out there as a possibility for Russ as well.
Yeah. I give it definitely way more of a chance than you do, but hey, I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm excited. I can't wait till all these dominoes start to fall.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're going to start seeing – it's going to be the dead zone. The only reports we're really going to get over the next few weeks are like speculation over who's getting franchise tagged, and we'll get a few cuts. We'll get a few cuts too. So we'll talk about those as they come. Just one last topic before we get out of here, just something to mention real quick. It's not even something we're really going to discuss, but Cody Whitehair and Eddie Jackson released by the Bears today. Both of these guys, dudes that had pretty high cap hits. The Bears actually ended up saving $21.5 million with those two cuts, which they already have a ton of cap space. So this just adds to that. Both these guys were good at one point. Eddie Whitehair kind of just fell off. They tried to move him to center, and he had a lot of problems there at center, especially just getting the snap off type of stuff. Ends up getting benched there. Was a pretty good guard for a while there, and then just kind of fell off. And Eddie Jackson had his good years at safety, but those good years seem to be behind him because he's just underperforming, and Bears end up letting him go. So it's going to be a very interesting offseason for the Bears. But listen, we know that they're going to be going all in and throwing money everywhere because you already know that's what Ryan Poles is doing. Do you want to let these 0 people out there watching right now, do you want to tell them anything before we get the hell out of here and jump on Fortnite?
Where are we dropping, bro?
Hey, there we go. Where are we dropping, baby? No. All right, y'all. Well, there was one person that started watching for a little bit. So, hey, thank you to that one guy, okay? We hope to see you next week. We'll be here till tonight quits on me. So, everybody have a great night. We're out of here. Peace.